Hi everyone, this is Ella Marie Francisco. We're talking about the blood moon coming in on March 3rd, 2026. It is a full moon, total lunar eclipse. It's also called the worm moon. It's called the worm moon because the ground is supposed to be softening and the worms, the earthworms, are coming up. We're going to look at the tarot, of course. We're going to channel a little bit of a message about the importance of this eclipse and the effects that it might have on all of us. As always, I'm going to pull for the Celtic cross. So I'm tuning into the energies for the eclipse, March 3rd, 2026, full moon lunar eclipse. Things are going to be coming to an end as we make room for new beginnings. Of course, we just had the solar eclipse in mid-February, marking the beginning of the fire horse Chinese astrology here. And we do have a ring of fire over this blood moon as it's reflecting the light from the earth and the sun onto the moon. The bloody moon could mean there's a lot of bloodshed, the cycle. All right, I'm going to cut my deck. Our first card is the Five of Swords reversed. This is intense because the Five of Swords is a throat chakra card to me. It is about the truth. It is an upside down card, so there could be a lot of conversations that are really difficult to have this cycle. Of course, it's the red blood moon, and we've got a red blood dress in there, and things that are obscured. I feel the ancestors and spirit guides, spirits that we can't talk to. So we might have lost somebody close to us and they could be trying to get us a message from the other side of the veil. We may or may not be hearing it. We may or may not be listening. We may or may not be ready for the truth. And yet it's here. It's in the collective. It's quite possible that there are going to be a lot of truths coming out in this moon that we just don't want to know about, that we're not comfortable with. A lot of times I see this card in situations where you have something to say, you want to communicate forthright, you don't really want to have to hold back, but the people that you're talking to don't want to hear it. They're not really open to listening. You may be speaking to a wall as far as you're concerned and not able to get through to the people that you want to get through to. This could be a very delicate situation. Sometimes I see this card with narcissists where, you want to be able to rationalize and talk to narcissists and get something settled or communicated in such a way that everybody's on the same page or coming at the situation with the right set of intentions. But a lot of times we end up speaking and we're just not heard, we're just not understood, and a lot of times it's better just to talk to a wall. Sometimes this also means that we're looking at new ways to communicate, that we have to choose our words wisely, that we may not be aware totally of the blocks in communication, and we're going to just keep trying anyway. The second card coming in is the Six of Pentacles. I call it a bit of an ancestor card because usually when I feel into this card, I see the grandmothers ancestrally hanging around the people that I'm reading. So if this is our collective, and both of these cards have to do with some kind of communicating, I believe that they both have to do with communication from the other side of the veil, the other side of reality. The Six of Pentacles does have a lot to do with family and the way that we value ourselves. So we could have, how sometimes people have a better relationship with their grandmothers than they do with their own mothers. That's the kind of energy that I feel in this card too. I often see the grandmothers working on the heart chakra. It's usually a sign that you do have a lot of ancestral help from the other side of the veil and that you're getting help from the other side. So those are starting off, wow, Five of Swords and Six of Pentacles. We're coming in with the Ace of Pentacles in our support position underneath us in our constitution, our spiritual constitution. We're talking about money, the things that are hitting the material plane, ways that we could be manifesting and taking care of things. Often this is a side income that can spring out of nowhere, or we want to make more money, or we want to do better with the money that we have. It does usually tie into our heart path as well, the things that we love to do to make money, or the things we want to love about our money, instead of wasting it on things that we have to. Sometimes we just want to spend it on things we want to. We could be really looking at what makes us happy, like how is our pocketbook happy this month or during this whole eclipse cycle, because we are starting with a full moon eclipse. So that's coming into our position of support. And the aces do have a lot to do with the heavens as well, as far as God force energy working for us and things that are supporting our journey, things that we may need to start anew. So we may have good ideas with how to spend our money, or newer forms of investments and things like that. And it's always good to see the pentacles in a position of support, because it really does represent the things that are hitting the material plane. So there could be a whole new way of manifesting our chosen realities and the things that our hearts want to manifest. It's also good to see that the Six of Pentacles is crossing us and the Ace is underneath us, because it is talking about our value and our family. We could be spending a lot of money on our family, or we could be using it to support members of our family as well. Next up in our Celtic cross is the Three of Cups. The moon is on March 3rd. I guess this could be, to a certain degree, the end of some relationships too. A lot of times this celebration card, this Three of Cups, is a celebration card, but it is coming in reversed, which means that there could be things that we're not all that happy about, that we could be discouraged about. We may feel like we're losing friends. It makes sense to a certain degree. If the Five of Swords is our collective card, we could be losing friends. We could be severing ties to those that don't understand us, or those that don't really want to hear what our truth is, and who don't align with our soul truth. Both these cards are upside down. Could be a spilling out. This could be part of what the endings are, because the full moon is about endings and things coming to dissolve, right? Like we could be dissolving friendships and alliances that aren't working in our best or in our best interests. The Nine of Pentacles can do with real estate and long-term investments. Sometimes this card with the Ace, I'll often feel new streams of income that may or may not relate to where you live and your investments related to real estate and things like that. So I kind of feel like both of these cards in the spread could be speaking to the people who do have investments and real estate and long range goal ideas. You could be coming up with new ideas to maintain your investments or protect your investments for the long haul. You could also be really sitting pretty with some of the greatest things you've ever done with your money and the way you're using it. This is a bit of an empowering card too, with a lot of solar plexus energy. So you could be guided in all the right ways to do all the right things with all your investments and your money. You may be getting great advice. You could, but mostly I think you know, you kind of trust yourself with that kind of a card. It's not really the kind of card that you need a ton of outside help with, actually. It's more along the lines of you already get a sense of what you need to do with it. And anyway, the Nine of Pentacles could also speak to the way that you nourish your body, that you are you've been sticking to some kind of a plan as far as building your own self-worth and your own value in yourself as well. King of Swords is coming in as our King of Truth into our doorway of our future. Now, he's pretty tied to the heavens in his own way, to the invisible allies, to his own higher self, and his own ability to listen to himself, to spirit, and actually to everybody around him. Good leaders take in the information around them to come to the best conclusions. This guy's pretty hardcore. He's okay to cut things out of his life if he needs to, or to cut ties to things that aren't serving the highest good of the kingdom, so to speak. And it is throat chakra. It does have to do with divine truth. It is sitting in our doorway to the future. So we could be really looking at ways that we can speak our ultimate truth and work with more of our spirituality rather than less of it. Of course, we do with the 5 of Swords here. If he's the King of Truth and the 5 doesn't know what to say, or is talking to a wall basically and not getting anywhere. It could be an interesting combination of cards going forward too, because you could be changing the way you speak. You could be just finding the people who understand your truth. You could be aligning with those that are cut from the same cloth, and you're not going to worry too much about who doesn't get you. You might just go get the people who do get you. And again, if we're talking about the 5 of Swords and the invisible world, people who have passed before us, who are guiding us from the other side, then having more of the King of Swords along for the ride would be beneficial, because you would be more open to listening to the messages. You would be, sometimes it's easier to have a relationship with the invisibles than it is with the humans. As a matter of fact, I can vouch for that. Yeah, so anyway, lots of truth, lots of leadership. This is not somebody who's afraid to take charge or to speak up and speak out. So even if we had some fear with the 5 of Swords, oh, nobody's going to listen to me, I don't know what I want to say, this card and the confidence that comes with the King would override some of that insecurity or some of that sense of futility, right? You're gonna find the people that you can speak to. You're gonna find the audience that will listen to you. I guess that's how I would look at that. And the world is upside down. We know this. We've seen this a lot lately. And I'm not sure that that's going to change too much in these coming weeks. So, or even in these coming months, since we're talking about the lunar eclipse. I'm not sure that much of this is going to change. The world upside down. Okay, so there could be a few things going on with this. One, you could just be in your own world and that's it. You're going more internalized. You don't really want to deal with the outside world, especially if there's issues with communication and people you can or cannot talk to. Of course, you're going to limit that influence and not want to deal with them. It could be also that you've just got to tune out the world. There's just so much going on. You just can't handle it. So yeah, I kind of feel like the world is getting smaller to a certain degree with this influence. Let's see what else is coming up though, because that's going to be a bit of a difference. The Knight of Pentacles coming up. The Knight of Pentacles is great because it likes to get things done. It likes to invest in itself. It's willing to put a little bit of effort into the long haul, which may also tie into this 9 of Pentacles. If you're interested in structuring your money and your investments and your efforts and your own self-esteem and your own value system into the long haul, then it makes sense that the Knight shows up to take us on that journey to make sure that we get there. These could be very strategic steps that we're taking to make sure that our path is secure and that we have everything we need. It's not a bad time to have the Knight of Pentacles too, because it can mark the beginning of something. And as the moon fills itself into completion and dissolves off the parts of us that we don't really want to do, things that we don't hold much value in, these are a good sign that these cards are coming together with the Pentacles and of course the 6 the pentacles crossing us. So for sure, we're establishing where our values lie and where our resources are to work with. And of course, we have this ace underneath us. So this is going to start us on the right path with new ideas or no, new opportunities for financial growth or wealth or abundance in any way. And let's see, we've got 2 more cards left. And I want to see what they are. Oh, we've got the 2 of Swords. The 2 of Swords is an interesting card because it can sometimes limit the way we see things. I've nicknamed this card the Blind Faith. It does work on the third eye. Sometimes this card comes along to give us a little bit of time to find the balance, to decide where our truths lie. What do we believe in? Why do we believe in it? What do we want to speak up with? And what do we want to speak out against? And all the rest of it. With the King in our doorway to the future, we may be really looking for, we could be looking for leadership in the invisible worlds, in fact, right? And anyway, I feel like a lot of us have already been through quite a bit of an awakening. The solar eclipse brought in a little bit more of our solar codes and the ability to tie into the universal light. And it could be that we're a little numbed out by it. We don't quite know what to do with it. So we're still being hit with all this information and we haven't integrated it yet. So if you cannot see 3 steps in front of you, I would say you're right on time. You're right where you need to be. It really isn't about seeing everything ahead of you. It's about feeling your way through the dark and understanding what your truth is. So if you can feel your way through your truth and take steps with that in mind, I think you're going to find it's a little easier to work with the energies and you're not going to feel so distraught because you don't know how everything's going to turn out. The 2 of Swords, I really do usually feel like it changes some of our perceptions and our perspectives because it plays in the field of our truth and the way that our mind works as well. It can be a lot of mental energy. It can be a lot of turning things over and over and over. And if actually we do have, like I said, the 5 of Swords coming in, these cards would play together because they're in the same realm, working with the mental plane. And it could be that you can't talk because you're so busy thinking, you don't know what to say. And then, of course, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it. If you don't know who to talk to, maybe keep it to yourself. Or if people aren't listening to you anyway, some of this thought could be so internalized, it's not coming out of your mouth anyway. Could be a very interesting cycle because you could be choosing your company as well pretty wisely. Yeah, so it's a little bit of feel your way through the dark with this kind of influence. And our final card is the Tower card. So the world is going to blow up a little bit anyway. Your world, our world, my world. Yeah, lots of change. Sometimes this can have to do with our homes. Just like sometimes the 9 of Pentacles, I'll feel this is like an estate card. And the Tower can represent things that are going on at home. And we are being crossed with a family card anyway. So you could be worrying about what's going on at home, what's going on with family, how are you taking care of them, are you communicating properly, are you working towards the common goals? And with the Tower card, there could be things shifting at home, there could be people coming and going and things like that, as well as for sure it's a shift in consciousness, especially with the 2 of Swords beside it. Because you'd be worried about what you think all the time, perhaps, but you'd also, like I said, you may not be able to feel too far into the future. And with the Tower card, sometimes these are outside influences coming into our home, like somebody moving in or us moving our whole situation. Yeah, the Tower. It's a lot of change in sometimes a short period of time that drags out over time. So sometimes it's the stuff that happens to us, not that we necessarily not necessarily things that we choose to happen to us. Yeah, so I think that's how it's going to go. I think it's going to be, I think there's some things that we have a lot of control over, and then some things that we just don't have a ton of control over. And back to the world. I think a lot of people are just getting numbed out by the amount of change in the world and the amount of focus that has got to come into, what is the world? I feel like a lot of us have to work with our own internal world. Some of us are very much outgoing, and yet we could be ingoing a little bit more, working on not worrying so much about the paradigms of the outside world and the protocols and the rules and the things like that. I think we're going to be finding our own sense of self through our inner worlds and addressing more of our internal situations and our internal happinesses and our internal desires with the way that the world is showing up. And with the Knight of Pentacles, we're on our own journey. We're going inward, as well as, all the cards that are side by side have a lot to do with each other. I mean, you've got the Knight of Pentacles coming in with the Two of Swords. So there's a journey, but you may not know where the journey is. You're not sure where the step is. You just know that the first step is the next step, and the next step is the first step. So you could be just really, I would say, just calm. Don't worry so much about long lengths of the future. Worry about the shorter steps taking to get there. I think that's going to be a better use of the information. And if you do have a lot going on in your third eye, I have seen this where a lot of people are really opening up, but they can't really see too much. So sometimes when we have a lot going on as far as the integrations of the outer energies from the planet and the way the cosmic energies are hitting us, we do need a little bit of time to percolate and to integrate some of the information. And with the Tower, I mean, both of these side by side, the Two of Swords and the Tower card, it's a lot of shift in the foundation of your own belief system, the paradigms of thought and perspectives that you have been working with, and you could just be blowing up. I mean, the world's kind of blowing up anyway, and there could be the sense of, what influence do I have anyway? It could be so overwhelming to a certain degree to a lot of people that they have no choice but to just go fix their own inner world instead of worrying about the outer world. And that's not a bad thing at all. It feels like, too, that there's still a lot of energy being used to dismantle almost the last little bit of things that don't fit right, that aren't strewn into our value system properly, and don't give us as much worth or as much satisfaction. Yeah, so I would say, make peace with the place that you're in, make peace with the world that you're living in right now. And if any sphere of influence you have, it's probably going to be over giving yourself more sense of value. What's the value added in your world, and how are you going to make things happier for yourself? Back to this card too, with, sometimes it is, a lot of people have to set new boundaries for themselves as their perceptions are changing, as their awarenesses are growing, as other realms of thought are hitting us. Don't be afraid, if it looks like you're losing friends or acquaintances or who might have appeared to be an ally. You may be walking away from people who aren't any longer aligned to your desires or your needs or your bigger picture. A lot of times the Two of Swords does have to do with the bigger picture coming into play. So yeah, we could be traveling in newer circles and not worrying too much about the goodbyes. Like, don't worry so much about the goodbyes. The goodbyes are supposed to be happening. Things do come to an end through the full moon. It's a culmination of a lot of things that just circle around and complete off, you know. So that's what it looks like for full moon eclipse. You really do have to decide where does your worth lie. You could be working with different levels of spiritual family too. You could be praying to your ancestors more. They could be stepping in to help you with money, giving you ideas on what to do with money and things like that, your own abundance. I guess it makes sense too if the Ace of Pentacles is coming up as well. You may be more apt to try new things that bring in more happiness where it comes to work. So maybe the part of the full moon eclipse is the work that you don't love doing could be eclipsing out, or the people that you don't love hanging out, they're eclipsing out. So that's the way it goes. A lot of things move and shift through us at these times. The influence lasts for months and months and months. You could have felt this building for months, knowing that you needed to make a change, and then suddenly you do have the opportunity to make the change. The planetary influences help those changes take hold. Okay, well, that looks good. That's my full moon eclipse. This is Ellen Marie Francisco. Thanks very much for coming into my channel.